ADHD Babes, the podcast, a podcast hosted by the ADHD Babes community for the community. Please note, nothing mentioned during the podcast is meant as a diagnosis. If you believe you have ADHD, please seek professional advice and visit or join ADHDBabes.com for help with diagnosis. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. And now, you're listening to the next episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. Thank you to everyone who's joined us by listening so far. Don't forget to follow so you never miss an episode, and also rate, review and share so that others can find us too. Today's episode is hosted by me, Anna, and
me, Jules. Hi, everyone. And today we are going to be discussing ADHD Tax.
joining in our discussion, we are joined by our guest, ADHD Babes, Charlene and Tyler.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Hello.
So that our listeners can get to know you a little bit better, could you introduce yourself, your pronouns, and a bit about what you do? Tyler, let's start with you.
Yeah, my name's Tyler. My pronouns are she, her. And what do? Do lots of things. I'm an architect, a mother, a university tutor. I do pottery. What else do I do? Just lots of different things. I don't know. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I just wrote an article for an international architecture magazine. So I guess I'm a writer now. I don't know. Yeah, I just do whatever I feel like doing and see how that goes.
I love that. And Charlene, if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you.
Sure. So, hi, I'm Charlene. Pronouns are she and her. By day, I work in the charity sector, just doing marketing. Means I work on fundraising campaigns, but I particularly work with sharing stories that connect people to causes. Outside of work, I guess I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, a bit of writing like you, Tyler. And I'm stepping into kind of maybe doing a bit more of the marketing consultancy. And yeah, we're really happy to be part of this conversation today.
Thanks.
Sorry, I also forgot to say I'm a host on here and also an editor now.
Hey, I love that. Yes.
Thank you.
So we have a really, really good episode, and the topic of discussion is ADHD tax. It's the name we kind of give to hidden cost of living with ADHD, not just like money lost, but time, energy, opportunities, and peace of mind. So from like unopened letters to late fees to impulse spending, which I know too well about, to burnout. And these costs just basically add up and carry a lot of shame for us. I'm sure we will go into that a bit more. And so for many of us, the struggle isn't about not knowing what to do. It's the painful gap between knowing and actually doing. And that's where the cost sort of builds up. And today we are going to name these experiences, explore the science, and hear stories that make it clear that we're basically not alone.
Absolutely. So, Tyler, when you hear the phrase ADHD tax, what comes to mind first? Money, time, or emotional cost?
You know what? I think the first thing that comes to mind is like energy. So I guess that's emotional cost, right? Yeah. I mean, it is all of the above. However, energy is like the biggest one for me. It could literally, like, it's just having the energy to do things that you've forgotten about. It's this like overarching, like existential dread of, oh, have I forgotten to do something? Is there something I was meaning to do? Was there a bill I was supposed to pay? Is there a card I was supposed to send, an email, a phone call, a text, whatever? Like, was there a bit of work that I've not done? And then if it's something really, really important that you're like, oh, I'm definitely not going to forget this, it's just constantly in the forefront of your mind, so much so that you forget about everything else that you would normally regularly do. So it could be like when I was writing the magazine piece, for example, that was at the forefront of my mind for like 2 weeks because I knew I had 2 weeks to do it, from being told, can you write this thing? to me having to submit it. And it was like everything else went out the window. There were no like toddler swim lessons. They got forgotten instantly. It was like packing my son's bag, forgotten. Like stuff I would be doing every day was just suddenly like, sorry, not at the top of the forefront because you definitely need to submit this thing on the Friday. So it's then like you have one thing that becomes, well, I guess it's not even priority. I guess it's more like however you see it in your mind is like, this is really important. And even though it might not actually take priority of just living, getting yourself fed, all of that stuff, that is suddenly like, right, this is actually the most important thing because you definitely can't forget about that. So yeah, I guess there's the emotional cost of that because then when you start trying to do everything together, you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. How am I then going to be able to do this thing that's really important? So yeah, it's just the energy of having to think about everything all at once, being able to prioritize it. And I can't prioritize as it is. So yeah, that's me.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So many things come to mind when you were sharing just now your experiences because they resonate with me as well. So I'm also a writer. I've written a couple of chapters in a couple of books, and I get plenty of time to write my chapters, but then it only becomes an urgent thing when I've got like a whole week left to hand it in. So then obviously everything else goes out the window. You know, I'm also a mother and a wife and I work full time. And it's just like, oh my goodness, I forgot to pay that bill. Or I forgot to put money from that account to that account so that bill can be paid. It's a constant struggle. How about you, Charlene?
Yeah, for me, I think, well, the first thing that would come to mind is money, but also the overall emotional stress that comes with it as well. I have inattentive ADHD, so one of my manifestations of my symptoms is that I just can't deal with life admin. I can't. If I showed you the pile of letters, like it goes past, and it's one of those things that actually, when you realise it, it's so extreme, it seems, actually, seeing all of these pile of unopened letters. And then that means that there are mispayments. It means that something that may have started off as £60 is now going to end up at £500. But then, it really is testament, actually, to those who would question that if ADHD was a real thing or not, because I simply just cannot do it. I can't seem to get to my letters, open up those letters, and then deal with what's inside. Now, I know, like, logically, it would be like, just saying, "Well, just open it and pay the thing, and then it will be done." But it's not. My brain doesn't work on that logical tip, I'm afraid. And so with that, then obviously comes all of the stress that's involved with it. It's knowing that things are going to be escalating, and things like that, and you just know that, like, again, your monthly payments are about to go up very steeply. But yeah, and the stress, the kind of like that dread, that Tyler that you mentioned, it's kind of living with that as well. So yeah, and then obviously the tax also comes from, it's like, you know maybe like late payments, or forgetting that you subscribe to something, forgetting to cancel things, those kind of things as well. It's like what I do try and do every now and again is go back through my statement just to see how many subscriptions I've forgotten to cancel, which we could always turn into, which is always quite a bit of money, actually, when you have a look at. I saw one that popped out the other day, that was supposed to have been cancelled like 2 years ago. So yeah, so that's what we're dealing with.
I completely understand. And the moment you said subscriptions and finance and unopened letters, it's a story of my life. It's literally, and it's not, I don't know why I laugh about it, but
Yeah.
I don't know how everyone else feels, but it's the overwhelming anxiety of opening that letter and adding another thing to the list, the long list of stuff you have to deal with. So rather than open the letter, you just leave it there. Most of the time, it's gotten to the point where I just rip it off. It's just chuck it in the bin. And I know I shouldn't do that. And it just sounds really kind of like, I'm just like, I'm not going to
It's
open it.
hard. I'm not going to open it.
I'm
Let's
the
not pretend.
completely
I'm not going
opposite
to
way.
open it.
You're the opposite way, Tyler.
I'm opposite way. I am constantly like checking if I've got mail. Like
Really?
yeah. I mean, constant, like, because it's this anxiety of, oh, I don't want to miss something. So every day I'm like, do I have mail? Just in case. Am I looking for this? When's the tax coming? It used to be in April, but now I got a new car like 3-4 years ago, I think. So the tax changed to September, October time. It used to be in April. Every April, I'm still looking for this tax letter. Every April.
Amazing. I
It's just
can't,
like
I can't
ingrained
even
in me
imagine.
that it's in April, but it's not even in April anymore. I literally have it here. It's here. I have the tax here. But it doesn't mean I'm doing anything with it. I'm just aware that it's there. It's on the
Yeah.
list of things to do. I have letters. If I get letters, I open them. I see it. Like, not necessarily how urgent is it? Is it a fine of some sort? No, okay, it's not that urgent then. We can put that down.
Yeah.
Then it's in the back of my head, okay, I need to do this. And then it'll be on the list for a few weeks. Then eventually I'll get to it. But have to check if there's mail that's actually important, or if it's telling me something, or if there's an appointment or whatever. Because I'm just very like, I don't know. I don't want to say like OCD. I guess this is where the autism kind of comes into it. My calendar on my phone is like on and my diary and stuff. Everything is there, like everything. I could have like, I literally have clean the fish tank, dentist appointment, pay
Yeah.
tax, renew car insurance, pay bills that I pay every month. It's still in there. It's very like everything is there black and white for me to see. So then, and then after that, it goes into my notes. So then I could make a to-do list every time I'm off. Like pretty much every day there's a to-do list. And most things get carried over to the next day and the day after that, et cetera, et cetera. But it's all there. If I don't make the to-do list, then I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing today? And I guess that is also a tax because that is like time.
Yeah. And that leads
But yeah,
on to my follow-up question is, if you could explain ADHD tax in your own words to someone who doesn't get it, what would you say? And we can start off with you, Charlene.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that because I have no idea actually, and it's funny because I'm going to be serious. And even when I was looking into this for this effort, for us recording this episode, it's still so hard to explain. Now I know we're going to go into the research and things, and we're going to know the kind of the brain wiring and why and everything, but why and the how and everything like that. But when you're trying to explain it to someone, it's so difficult unless that person is also a neurodivergent person as well. So if you're trying to explain it to a neurotypical person, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know
No.
what to tell you. I have tried. I definitely have. Now, with a couple of my very best friends who are neurotypical, and I have explained it to them. They've done their best with their understanding. They've done their best, but it only goes so far because it is like with a lot with the ADHD. I mean, the big umbrella of all of our symptoms and things like that. It sounds so illogical. So when you are trying to say it, I mean, you can hear yourself speaking. So it's like, so when I'm talking about ADHD tax, so I can't open my letters. So I don't open my letters. So then I end up paying a lot more. So now I have less money all the time. So if you explain it like that, which is logical to me, but it doesn't sound. I don't know. I wouldn't know how to dress it up. It would have to be with the research and the science, I think, actually, because
Yeah.
it is very hard to explain. It really is.
And I echo what you say, because it is, how do you explain to someone that you can't open your letters? They look at you like, are you okay?
Are you okay? Is everything
Like,
okay at home?
what do you mean you can't open your letters? And again, like you said, we'll go into kind of like the brain and the shame and everything at some point. But I think it is quite interesting trying to explain. Feels like there is when you hear yourself saying, "Oh, I do this and you do that." At some point, you're kind of thinking, "These people must think I'm like, I just do this to myself because I want to." It's
Yeah.
like, no, I
Yeah.
actually don't.
Mm.
I guess we can go to Tyler. If you feel like, is there anything you can think that you could say to someone who doesn't quite understand ADHD tax? What would you kind of like immediately say?
feel like I hear what Charlene's saying in terms of like being able to describe it to people is really difficult. Because when I was doing my like whole access to work, whatever the thing is
Mm.
called,
Yeah.
and then I had to go and speak to work. Well, initially when I came back off maternity leave, and I was like, oh, by the way, been diagnosed with this now. This is how it impacts me. I'm just letting you know, blah, blah, blah. And one of the questions were like, how does it impact you? And I was literally just like buffering. And I was just like, this happens to me every day. How do I not know how to describe to them what it is that is like? But then it was just stupid things that I was then coming out with because I was like buffering. And it's like time blindness, for example, is probably like what time blindness is to me is probably like what opening letters is to Charlene. Like I am not like I just don't see time. It's not a thing to me. And I can wake up being like, oh, well, one of my alarms goes off at 4:30 in the morning so I can go to the gym. And I never go to the gym at 4:30. Well, I have at sometimes, but at this moment in time, the past 3-4 weeks, I wake up, hit like stop, then either I'll go back to sleep or I just sit there on my phone and I'm wide awake. I'm not doing anything. And I'll do that until it's 7 a.m. And then I'm like, probably don't have enough time to go to the gym now. So I'll just get a shower and make breakfast. And then I'm like, all right, okay, need to get my son up. And then suddenly it's 8:15. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how did we get here? I've been up since 4:30. How
Yeah.
did we get here? And then I'm late for work. And then it's like, how? Every day.
Okay.
Where are the lessons? There are no lessons here. Get up earlier. I don't know how. How are we gonna get up earlier? How much earlier are we gonna get up? Are we gonna get up
From
at 3?
4:30. I know.
Like, what? Where do we go? Do I just stay awake? Like, I may as well try and get to work from now.
I call that busy doing nothing when you just don't understand what's happening. You're just there on your phone or whatever it is, and then it's 9 o'clock all of a sudden. You weren't doing anything, but you were busy doing nothing. Something is happening.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll be like, right, I'm not gonna look at my phone because it's gonna distract me. I'll be like, okay, I'll give myself, I don't know, 20 minutes to get ready. So I'll go in the shower, I'll be in there, I'll be like super fast, like 3 minutes, brush my teeth for 2 minutes, everything done, come out, like, oh yeah, I'm on time. I'm on time. Still got 13 minutes left to spare. Look at me, personal best. And then I'll be like, oh, moisturized or whatever. And then I'll look at the time, and again, it's 8:15. How? All I've done is moisturize. How has that taken me 45 minutes? And it's not. I could just be staring at the wall. I could literally just be like, oh, I've not seen this lip balm before. Where's this come from? Suddenly I'm reading the instructions. Then it's like, oh, wait, I'm sure I've seen another one there somewhere else. Now I'm in a different room. Now it's all this back and forth. Then I'm like, oh, wait, I need to pack this bag. Oh, wait, I haven't found those shoes. You know what I need to do, actually? I've not worn those shoes before. So I need to put on the Crep Protect. Now, that takes at least 25 minutes because you got to wait 10 minutes between each spray. Why am I just sat there waiting? I could be back getting ready. But no, I have to sit with the shoes whilst it's drying for 10 minutes just in case. And then I'll be like, oh, you know what I could do in this time? I could feed the fish. I've got 2 fish tanks. I've got 17 fish and 6 shrimp. So I'm like, right, okay, feeding each of the 2 tanks. I'm like, oh, I need to put the fertilizer in for the aquarium plants. Okay, cool. So I've done that. All now, it's time to go to work. I'm like, oh no, because I've not touched my phone. So it's not even like I've got a mental check to be like, oh, I'm running on time here. I'm just like, oh, I've got 20 minutes. Because I saved 13 minutes because I saved 13 minutes because I showered quickly. But that 13 minutes has actually taken me an hour and a half. And then once I realized that, I'm like, oh shit, I should have been out of here 3 hours ago. And then it's like, oh, right, okay, well, I've got ADHD, sorry. Things happened. So yeah, it's like it doesn't matter what it is. It could be going to work, it could be a doctor's appointment, it could be meeting up with friends, it could be one of my friends actually, like 2 of my friends got married recently, and like was it a week before? I think it was a week before, they were like doing the double checking, like, is everyone still coming, blah blah blah. And the groom messaged me. He's white, which is important to say. And he was like, yeah, everyone needs to be there. It was like a group message that he'd sent individually. And he's like, yeah, everyone needs to be there. the wedding's going to start promptly at 2 p.m. Everyone needs to be there to get a seat at around 1 p.m. because we can't be late, blah, blah, blah. And then he sent me a second message and went, that means you need to be on white people time, Tyler. I'm not accepting anything less. I'll be there at 12. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. He was like, I already know your excuses. So you need to be there on time. And I was literally just like, ouch, okay. Like, is it that deep?
I don't think it's excuses though.
No,
I
I
don't
was
think
about to
it's excuses
say, it's not an
either.
excuse. It's not an excuse. It's a whole reason.
Yeah.
There is.
Literally,
Yeah.
the ADHD tax, time blindness, like
Yeah.
it's all one thing. It's
Mm.
legit. It's
Mm.
an actual
No,
thing.
and you're actively getting ready for it.
Yeah.
You know, you're just doing different steps or doing different way.
Yeah.
There's different ways of doing it, but you are getting ready for that
Mhm.
event, or you're getting ready for work, or you are getting ready to do whatever you need to do.
Mhm.
It just, you kind of concentrate on the steps a little bit more than any other person would do.
And I guess everything's a priority. Like I
Yes.
personally don't have, sorry, I hit my mic. I don't have very good executive function. That's the term, right?
That's it though. That's the crux of ADHD as well, though, I'm afraid. So it's not even an excuse at all.
Yeah. So it's like I genuinely could be like, okay, I need to get ready for this event so I can leave the house at 8:30, arrive at 9 if it's going to take me half an hour to get there. Well, one issue is the fact that I don't know how long it takes to get anywhere. And I I just don't know. Like everywhere takes half an hour to me. It could take 2 hours.
Yeah.
It still takes half an hour in my head. Like that's how long it takes. But so on top of that, it's like I'll be getting ready. I'll be like, oh, well, I need to feed the fish. That's a priority because they need to be fed in the morning and at night. So if I don't do it, who's going to do it? So that needs to happen before I go out. I obviously need to shower. I need to brush my teeth. I need to get ready. Makeup if I'm doing makeup that day. Need to sort bags out. Need to sort lunch out. Sometimes I do it the night before, which is fine, as in like bag and lunch and stuff. But it could then be like, oh, well, you know what? I've got a bit of extra time. Like, I need to be able to double check. Maybe I need to check my emails. Suddenly, I've logged onto the computer, seen something else. Now that's a priority because if I don't do it now, then when am I going to do it realistically? If I decide, okay, I need to work out because I'm not able to go to the gym this evening. So I'll just have 5 minutes on the elliptical cross trainer thing. And then it's like, do you actually have the 5 minutes though? Because the 5 minutes is actually more like half an hour once you put it all up, you on it, and you got to go and make sure you got dressed, showered, etc. Like that whole thing is not the 5 minutes of you on the elliptical. There's extra time either side. So you need the contingency for that, which I don't take into account. And it's all just like there's a lot of, I guess, because I don't have the executive function, everything's important. So I have to fit everything in to that time whilst also dealing with the fact that I'm like, oh, I'm just time blind. So there could be a busy doing nothing, so to speak, as Charlene said. So if I'm busy doing nothing for an hour and a half and I've only got 2 hours that I actually have to get ready in the morning, despite being up since 4:30, then it means that actually I'm now trying to fit everything that comes across my mind in half an hour slot, which is obviously never going to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's it. And that is what exactly we want to explore today and talk about today. And I feel that that's the way that we can actually explain to other people. The only way we can actually make people understand what it means, it's by telling them about our experiences. And you leave that with them because, you know, like, even if you don't get it, I've told you my experience.
Mhm.
And that's it.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
Although research actually shows that ADHD tax isn't about laziness or willpower. It comes from executive dysfunction with what we just mentioned.
Mhm.
It comes from dopamine, regulation issues, time blindness that we just talked about. We talked about all of these just by sharing our experiences, and decision fatigue because we get tired. We're just tired of trying to make decisions like, what do I do first?
Mhm.
Brain imaging shows real differences in how our brains plan, initiate, and regulate our tasks. Understanding these shifts, the blame away from character and put it into context. And this is where I would like to ask Charlene. As we know, ADHD is about brain wiring, it's not about laziness when it comes to ADHD tax. So how does that knowledge change the way you see your own struggles or your challenges?
Yeah, this is really interesting actually, because since in this whole ADHD journey that I've been on, is we're going into the 5th year soon, since I first found out about it. Um, and I know that in the journey, I think you take different bits of your life, and then you kind of put the ADHD spin on it, and then you deal with that kind of issue. And then it goes on. The financial issue, this ADHD tax issue, was one of the very last ones. I've only really recently started looking at it as part of the ADHD thing, which and I don't know why. And I think it's because over the years, because it wasn't ever something that you could explain. And there is a lot of shame in there as well. You wouldn't want people to know that my life was just like an absolute, like, just a hot mess for in some certain areas like this now, but just a hot mess. Um, and so there is a lot of shame with it. And so you don't know. So you do end up kind of like internalizing it. And unfortunately, the things that you say to yourself in your head is so much worse than actually what someone else would say to you. But when it comes to this, I find it just really resonant with this very issue, just this financial issue that I've got. The science is great. Obviously, it does help to frame everything, which is wonderful. And it's something that maybe I should have had a look at originally. I just never did. And I think all the years of having the shame, it's really hard to just all of a sudden switch off and remind yourself, actually, there is actually the science, everything behind it. I think speaking about it today and after kind of researching this for today and everything like that, I think I'm now going to be able to lead with the science now. I think I think I'm on that road to the shame taking like a backseat actually now. And then just going with the science. I mean, because it explains everything. The executive dysfunction, which is, the main crux of ADHD, the dopamine regulation is just like there is nothing that says, there is nothing that would kill dopamine like seeing an open letter or thinking about a bill. And again, with the time blindness, even if I do know that, even if I am aware of something that is coming up, and then, and I can have all of the best tensions leading up to it, and then bang, it's gone. I've missed it. I missed it. Full best intentions. And then with the decision fatigue as well, fatigue really is real. So every single bit of post that has to be opened is like each one of them comes with a set of actions and then a set of decisions that you have to make. It goes into so many other different things. And then it means that the way that our brain is not going to, our executive dysfunction is not going to it's not going to kick in as it should do as a normal functioning one, where it would help us to plan and initiate and regulate the task that comes with it. My brain just says no immediately. Never been able to explain why that is. The science really does help. And I think, like I said, it is helping to reduce the shame. A part of it will still linger because learned behavior, I guess, like a habitual kind of behavior thing, but it's wonderful. It's one of those, I was thinking about this and about how thankful I am to have found the ADHD Babes community, actually, because these kind of things I would have just carried around like in my emotional backpack, dragged along with all of the shame and everything like that. Having a community like this, though, where these things can be explored as well, because like I said, I never even thought to check the science behind, to check what the actual reasons are behind. And there are actual reasons. And it's like you've won all of these years that you've been searching for a reason. And then there is actually a reason. I forget to go and look for the damn reason, but I've got the reason. I've got the reasons. I've got the reasons. I've got the reasons now, which will, most definitely help. And in terms of like reducing the shame, it's like obviously I'm 41 now. So I've had a lot of years of going through this. So the damage is done for me, basically. But what it does help to do is reduce the shame for anyone else I come across that is going through this. Hopefully a lot earlier than when I found out about everything. So yeah, so it does do some work in that kind of respect. And I think Like, if I'm going to be able to deal with standing up in front of my African family and the only one to say, I can't pay my bills and open my letters and things like that, the science and things really does help. So we will be leading with this, definitely, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How about you, Tyler?
I've never really looked into the science behind ADHD, really. Like, I know like little bits here and there, but it's one of those things when it comes up, like, unless I'm speaking to someone who also has ADHD or is neurodivergent, like, it never gets past like to that point because it's always just like, I just feel like when people ask about it, it's so like the spotlight's on you. Now everyone's like, it's I don't even know how to describe it. It just makes me buffer quite a lot, and then I'm suddenly just like, "How am I gonna explain this thing without sounding like a nutcase?" Because it is stuff like, like Charlene's example of like not opening letters. It's like, to you, it obviously makes loads of sense. You've got a scientific reason as to why, and now you're able to explain why that is neurologically. Whereas if you're not, like, you don't have that in your arsenal, then someone's like, "Yeah, but why don't you just do this?" And you're just kind of like, "I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know why I don't just do that. It just does not how it works." And I've definitely had conversations with people where it's like I obviously know it's a neurological thing, um, the scientific things, especially when dealing with my son, who's like he's on the waiting list for autism, but I think he's probably got ADHD. Like he's run on a motor. He has endless amounts of energy. He does do the tiptoe walking thing, so maybe he is also like both. But it's like explaining his behavior or why he's acting a certain way to people is then really difficult, especially if they're like, "Oh, you just need to give him some discipline." And it's like, that won't work because that's not how his mind is. Like, I could shout at him, he will just find it funny. Like, it's not necessarily, he's not got fear. He doesn't have any fear. Nothing is, he's just curious, like, "Oh, why are you shouting? Oh, you're shouting. I'm not listening now." That is literally like that. It's very black and white. So then trying to explain that to someone, "Oh, well, you just need to keep trying." Well, no, that's not gonna work though, is it? Because his brain doesn't think like that. His brain will never think like that. His brain will never see or hear someone shouting and think, "Oh, I need to change my behavior because this is just how I like, that's my behavior." I could tell him numerous amounts of times, "Oh, walk on flat feet." I've been saying walk on flat feet in the same tone for like 2.5 years, and he's still walking on tiptoes. So it's like, "Oh, you just need to tell him more." I don't think I can tell him anymore. I literally must say it 30 times a day. Flat feet, flat feet, flat feet, flat feet. It's not a thing that he can control because it's neurological. He gets a sensory thing from it, therefore he will do it. But trying to explain that to someone else that isn't neurodiverse or is neurotypical or is neurodiverse but not in that way is then really difficult without having the science because they just think, "Oh, you're just being too soft on him. You're not trying. You're not helping him," kind of thing, which is then obviously more difficult because then you're like, "No, no, I am." It's more, what's the word? It's more detrimental for me to keep trying to like shout and be like, "Oh, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this," when actually he can't adjust to that. Adjustments need to be made in the other way. So being able
Yeah.
to have the science would actually be more helpful in those kinds of situations because then it's not, I don't think it's necessarily that I need it to explain my situation, but it's actually more helpful to explain my son's situation.
Situation, yes. And in
Yeah,
general as well.
yeah,
Absolutely.
because then it's like, it's not about me, in which case I'm then like, "Oh, I'm buffering on why, like, what is ADHD to me?" Because I've already gone through, like, education, school, and all these things when it actually really makes a difference when you've got any kind of neurodiversity, because then you can get the extra support. But if you've already gone through all of those different institutions without the support, then it's like, "Oh, well, you were fine. So now you just get through the rest of life without it. It's fine." Whereas because he's not even gone through any of that yet, it's like, oh, well, actually, we need to kind of step it up so then he can have the right support on time when he needs it. And then
Absolutely.
he's not going to struggle through education, if that makes sense. But it's being able to
Absolutely.
have the right tools in order to explain not issues, but his needs, so then he can get the right support rather than people be like,
Yeah.
oh, you just need to shout a bit louder. You just need to keep shouting because that's what works best. And it's like, no, like we don't need to. It didn't work in the 60s. It didn't work in the 70s. It's not going to work today. Like we need to make some adjustments in how we're dealing with people who aren't neurotypical.
Absolutely.
I think what's interesting as well, saying around like the science, and I can understand why you, Tyler, feel like, you know, you want to know the science more to be able to kind of like explain to people about your son and stuff. I also think that having that
Mhm.
information is also important for ourselves as well. And again, I feel
Mhm.
because a lot of us have, I don't know about you guys, a lot of us are late diagnosis.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so it's completely new information to us. And back in them days in school, when you were saying that, or when the teacher's like, oh, you're distracting, it was always seen as bad behavior and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
considered that I had, or am autistic, or I have
Mm.
ADHD, or I have these other things. So it was
Mhm.
always looked as you're just being bad. And there was because they hadn't diagnosed us, they didn't do any of that. So all the information comes after the map that we now know that we have
Yeah.
ADHD and we are autistic. And now actually I have to do the extra work to learn about why I do this and why I do that. And it's so interesting because like, when you talk about the dopamine sort of thing, that's the one that I really researched because I said, nah, this is strange to me because I
Mm.
don't understand how. And for me, when I think about like the tax again, it's back to the finance. It's the finance stuff for me. I can get so excited about buying something and look forward to it for so long. The dopamine is like, yeah, I know
Oh
I
yeah.
don't have the money, but in my mind,
Yeah.
that money's there and we're going to
Yeah.
find a way to get it.
We're gonna
It's
get
And
there.
always a way.
I
It's always
purchased
a
the
Always.
way.
thing and
Yeah.
it comes to my house. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Always. Always. Always.
there's some sort of, that to me doesn't feel like it. You can't tell me that's a neurotypical thing. It's just like a dopamine thing for a
It
life.
really is.
It's
It
like you're
really is.
running. You're like,
You know it
yeah,
is.
that new toy. I gotta get it. I gotta get it. You get it. You're like, oh, it's
Mm,
here now.
it doesn't
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah.
I'm
Do anything.
literally like, so I'm really kind of rigid with like spending. So when I get paid,
Mhm.
I've got all my pots. It all goes into different, like I pay whatever I need to pay. Everything gets done the day I get paid. Then I split it all into different pots. And one of my friends at work was just like, it's so annoying going out to eat or go out anywhere with you. Like if we go for drinks after work or whatever, because before you, they'll be like, oh, that comes to like £8.70. And then I have to go on my phone. I have to go into the right pot and then I transfer it out. And then and she'll be like, she'll be a while here. And then she's just like, I just don't get why you do it. And it's like, because then I know how much I've spent for each specific thing. But I don't even think of it as like that's an ADHD tax, even though it definitely is, because
Mhm.
it's time and energy that I have to do every month, splitting all the money out. And then
Yeah.
even when it gets halfway through the month and I've used all of that money, and then going into like, okay, so which pot can I take out, which is fine if I don't have, okay, the holiday pot can go down a bit. It's not too, like, I don't need to go on holiday this year. I can
Mm.
just spend that £50 and get some new stuff for the aquarium because that is really important. And it
Why do you
might
do
not
that? Because if you don't do it like that, then like it would be a madness with your money. Or have you always just been like that? Is it just like an organization thing?
kind of in the last like 6, 7 years, I've got more into pots. Whenever I got Monzo and then it was like, oh, you can put pots in here. When it was just free for all, I had no clue what I was spending. I'd be like, oh, I only got paid the other day. Obviously, paid like rent, bills, whatever. And then I'd be
Mm.
like, oh, I thought I had more than that. And then it was like, oh, on Monday when they used to do that thing and you could have like the free overdraft thing. And every month I'd be like maxing out the overdraft. And then I'd then be like, it's fine because I can pay myself back. And then I'd max it out again. And then I was just like, I don't even know where my money is going. And this is when I lived in London as well. And then I was looking and it was like every day I'd just be in prep 3-4 times. So automatically that's £40 a day. Why?
Yeah.
Why? So then it was like, actually, if I say to myself, going out pot, I'm going to put £250 in. Once I get to that £250, well, then I can't go out to eat. I can't do drinks. Like that's the limit. That's the limit I'm giving myself. But then it still is like, that sort of stuff is fine. It's when I'm like, oh, I need to get something for the aquarium. Like today, I don't need to get anything for the aquarium. I'll be like, oh, I'll get a new plant for it. And then I'll go to the shop, get the plant. I also bought 6 shrimp. I also bought 3 more plant. Why did I spend £70 in the fish shop when I only went in to buy 1 plant, which is £3.99?
And you saying that makes, I definitely feel like when it's the hyper focusedness on a particular thing. So obviously there's a passion when it comes to the aquarium and,
Yeah.
maintaining that. So in the moment, you just find yourself, you go in for one thing, but then you just get this hyper focus and excitement around because you're passionate about it. I've got to spend all the money, and then you realize, and you're like, how did I end up spending nearly £100? Like that was not the
As
intention.
soon as I walk out the shop and I'm sat in my car, I'm like, why did I just do that? How did that happen?
I even look at the
came here
receipt
for-
like, what do I?
But that's why, when they say, when the cashier's like, do you want a receipt with that? I'm like, no,
No,
no, thank
I'm
you.
beginning to start taking my receipt. I'm collecting that receipt, boy.
Yeah, I
Remind myself of
have
what I
so
spent.
many receipts.
I don't want the evidence like that. Don't worry about the receipt.
But that's the only thing that can hold you a little bit accountable.
yeah,
Because
it's
if
the
yes.
It's
I
the
don't know what's
receipt.
At
better
least
though.
you know.
I feel like, is it better me just having no money, right? Or like trying to sort out to have money? It's just too much. I can't be. I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Yes, you just don't know anymore.
I just don't
Because
know.
that's the thing, you start to try and find
Yeah.
different tactics or different ways of not, like, the pots, for example. Like rather than what I do now, for example, my toxic ADHD or my tax is clothes. And they have to be reduced. And most of the time they're always reduced. And, I go online and PLT has a reduced sale section. And so does ASOS. And so that's Boohoo. And so does all the other ones. And so I'm like, yes, let's go to the sale section.
Yeah.
And that's a nice dress that I don't really have. Let me just get it because it's only £5. Like that's, it's so reduced. Like it used to be £40. That's such a good bargain. Yeah. Just gotta get it. So last year we started renovating my house and there was so much clothes in every single room. My daughter's room, my son's room, their loft, the shed, everywhere. I filled up my whole living room. And I'm not boasting, but my living room is huge, okay? And there was bags and bags and bags of clothes that I am not longer using. And if you add it all up, it's thousands. Because what I do is, the dopamine thing is I have to wear it once and I will not wear it again. Yeah. So I buy the dress for a specific event. It's normally my friend's birthday, my cousin's birthday. And there's always something going on every single weekend. And I have to wear something new. Because these people cannot see me wearing the same dress that I wore last week. That's how my mind works. So like in order for me to switch from spending so much money on clothes. Oh, and I was doing it with my kids as well. Like my kids had so many pairs of shoes, so many different types of jackets in every single color, all of that, because why not? That's what my brain was telling me. My husband was absolutely devastated. Like he was just like, how many more shoes does some person need? Like this person does not need so many shoes, doesn't need so many jackets. Like he was trying to control it, but not really control it. Controlling it in a way of like telling me like, oh my God, like another pair of shoes. But he wasn't really like taking my cards away or nothing like that, which I wish he did. And then I said, all right, let's renovate my house. So I switched it from now I'm not buying things that aren't really, that I'm only gonna wear once, but I'm gonna invest in my house. I'm gonna renovate my floors. I'm gonna renovate, and I did an extension. So all that money has been going there for the last year or so, which I feel extremely happy about. And do I buy any more clothes? What I've done is like every quarter, I give myself a little gift. Like, okay, you haven't bought clothes for a long time, so buy yourself a little dress and things like that. So, and then now also understanding the science, because I did not know why I was doing that. I'm also late diagnosed. I just thought I had some sort of mental obsession. I don't know. On buying clothes. And then I think there was this film that came out, like, I think it was about 10 years ago, the Shopaholic one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Confessions of a
thought, oh
Shopaholic.
my, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, that it's me. Oh, I have a problem, that's my problem. And just knowing, and as I said, this changes started when I found out about my ADHD. When I got diagnosed, everything fell into place. And I'm 43 now, and I was able to make all of those changes because of the science,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
And then when I heard the term ADHD tax, I was like, bang, that's it.
Yeah.
That is it. So now, yeah, I try to control my spending. I set up different various ways of keeping me accountable in terms of my bills. I don't do paper bills anymore because
Yeah.
I know I'm never going to open them. So I get my bills sent to me by email, which is what I constantly open every single day. So if I see my bills come through, okay, cool. That's it. And everything is set up on direct debit.
Oh, we're going to come back to that one. We're going to come back to direct debit. Because I'll be tossing in those direct debits sometimes. I'm like, wait, what?
I have a whole separate account just to deal with bills, and then every month I just send all the
Yes.
money in. I don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
That just
It sounds
That's
like
what
a
I
dream.
do.
Just
No,
sounds
that's
like
what
a
I do
dream.
as well. Yeah.
You
It's
two have
just
got it. You
one
two have got it
account.
down, man. Honestly.
Yeah, you guys have got
honestly,
it down to a
like,
T.
it's having that is so good, because then it's like every month I put the money in, and sometimes I put a link in a little bit more than I need it to be. So then at the end, in case I've already spent my money, the money that I have in the separate parts, I'm like, oh, there's an extra 50 quid in here. I can buy more stuff. So when that ASOS sample sale hits,
My favorite thing.
but
Telling you.
it's like, it is that thing of like, it is the dopamine hit. Because
It really
Yeah.
is.
I might not buy anything for like a few months or whatever. And then I'll be like, oh, I need to get some trainers. And then I'll be like, oh, there's a sale. And then I'll buy 4 pairs. And it's like, well, I've not bought any trainers in a while. Like, yeah, okay, but you can only wear one at a time.
That's exactly. I have
Exactly.
the
And
same
then
reasoning with stuff. Yeah.
suddenly I've spent £250. And that month of being like, oh, I was doing really well with my spending. Now I'm like crawling into that bills account, like, did I save myself any little treats?
Have
No,
I got a little
I
bit of
didn't.
extra money?
Where do I get this from? What am I gonna do? Yeah, so it's literally just like, right, okay, well, it's fine. And then it's slowly like, okay, if I've got any savings, I'll be like, well, I did need to actually get some shoes, so it's fine. I can go into the savings for that. And then it's like, oh, well, actually, we're going out for lunch at work, so I should just it's only going to be £10. And then £10 every week, every month for a year is a lot of £10
Yeah.
that we don't need to be going into the
Yeah.
savings for. Because we can just say, no, actually, I'm not going to go out for lunch this week. I'm going to stay in the office and eat my packed lunch that I've brought in, instead of leaving it because I made it, but I don't need it. But I'll still be like, oh, yeah, I'll come to lunch. I did bring lunch with me. You did? I thought you brought lunch. Yeah, I did. I'll have that for dinner.
Have that as well.
Yes.
We just can't help it.
Yeah. And that's
It's actually
interesting.
mad.
Going back to the fact that ADHD is already underrepresented, under-researched, not underrepresented, under-researched just on a whole, because it feels like because now there are more people with late diagnosis, there are more people, more researchers having to do kind of like stuff. But again, it's still under research. And when you look at our experiences as Black women, non-binaries, the gap is even more huge. We
Yeah.
we already know about like the racial disparities in diagnosis, and being like I mentioned earlier, being told, oh, it's just bad behavior. How many times have we probably heard that from a teacher in school? And then the culture pressure of like, oh, you have to just remain strong, appear strong, and kind of the economical toll of like systematic barriers. Like when we kind of think about the stuff of going to ask for help, because you present a certain way, it's automatically deemed that you don't need help. You have to look a certain way to want the help. And all of this just makes like the ADHD tax like heavier for Black women and non-binary people. And so we're often left to carry the cost in silence. And we've kind of all individually touched on sort of what that is and what that looks like. So it's been quite an interesting conversation so far. And I think Anna has a question for us to kind of like answer around it.
Yeah. So, as we know, ADHD also impacts our family. And
Thanks for listening to this episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. If you're a Black woman or non-binary person and need help and support in managing your ADHD or advice on diagnosis, please visit ADHDBabes.com. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. Join us in 2 weeks for a new episode. Until then, all the love from the ADHD Babes team.
Just as I am, can you take me just as I am?